Hey guys, it's God's Comic, Brad Stine. And let me ask you a question. We now know that there are social media disseminators of information who are not allowing conservatives to even be able to speak freely. I want to ask you this. How important do you think it is that we figure out a way to make sure that all Americans have equal access when it comes to being able to speak freely and to be heard? What's at stake if we lose that? Right down below, I'm going to talk a little bit about it on the way in, and on the way out, I might just join you. So come on, give a listen, get inspired. January 20th, 2016, the first day after Donald Trump was inaugurated President of the United States, we, as a nation, first saw the term resist placed into the social media atmosphere. Do you remember? Little did we know that would mean the rise of ANTIFA and the beginning of the idea that it would become commonplace now for some Americans to riot, and we would be told they were peacefully protesting. Some Americans would burn down buildings, and we would be told they are expressing their outrage. Some Americans would break windows, and we'd be told that it's only a window, not a life. We were going to see the rise of hate crimes that would all be found to be a hoax. They literally had to fake hate crimes to prove hate crimes existed because they couldn't find any actual hate crimes to reference. Yet, since they couldn't find any expedient hate crimes to leverage, it didn't mean they weren't happening at an alarming rate. Instead, it simply meant they were happening everywhere, but they aren't getting media attention. So when we fake them, it's simply a demonstration of what is actually happening that we simply haven't discovered yet, so still legitimate. This is not the America that was envisioned by the Founding Fathers, as they were adamant that all Americans would be given their inalienable rights to free speech, freely addressing the government, free to practice their religion in public, and free to have a press that was not going to be edited or abridged by government bureaucrats. What we have seen instead has been the censorship of ideas that differ from the leftist Marxist ideology. It's interesting that the founders were concerned about abridgment of a free press from government control because they actually believed that the press would have only one goal in mind: to present to the American people the facts in regards to social, cultural, political, and moral ideas and principles being presented and integrated into the cultural landscape. They had no way of knowing or even anticipating that the press could go rogue and actually partner with leftist ideology to, in fact, self-censor ideas and truth that contradicted leftist ideology. The founders believed the press would have an internal moral obligation to objectively bring the truth in order for all Americans to be able to interpret the political and cultural landscape and to then act and vote accordingly. Think of that long-gone archaic concept. The founders placed the press in a category of truth bearers, that those who chose that noble profession would do so because nobility meant something to them. They saw themselves as truly the umpires of the culture, simply calling balls and strikes, and then it would be up to the batter to make something productive out of his opportunity. You often heard me speak of the necessity for Americans to honor and sustain religious freedoms at all costs because that was our first right recorded in the Constitution. The first right because all other rights would be anchored upon that foundation. If we as a people don't discipline ourselves and willingly forego some of our personal desires for the sake of a transcendent moral code, we could not function or survive as a republic. Religion, and of course in 1776 they were referencing Christianity, is the only way a moral code can be established and secured. It had to come from the mind of a transcendent rule maker, so humans couldn't get their devious hands on it and mold it into their image. You see, whether you like it or not, the founders made it clear that unless we remained a religious people, we would be unable to move forward effectively and freely, all the while allowing any and every point of view to be given equal access to the table of ideas promulgated by the citizenry. How ironic that they realized it took God as the moral arbiter by which we as a citizenry would all honor or at least give a nod of deference to in order to circumvent any potential totalitarian takeover of the free access and distribution of ideas. The founders certainly couldn't have anticipated the scope of what modern society would be able to accomplish in terms of distributing information globally with just one push of a button. And yet here we are, wondering if we're allowed to speak freely anymore. Here we are, wondering if we're ever going to reach a place where a handful of people who created a great business on their own, entrepreneurs, good for you, now control the dissemination of information. That we, as citizens of America, are no longer equal. There's one group, one idea, and one ideology that is determined to rule the rest of us. And not only do we get the opportunity to dissent, we don't even get to speak. What are we going to do about that? We better decide to do something. Time is running out. This is God's Coming, Brad Stine. And PC free, my friends, is liberty. Hey, my awakened warriors, thank you so much for being subscribers and committed to my ministry all month long and into the next one. I really need that because, you've proven to be one thing that I need more than anything. People that believe in what I'm doing and think it needs to get out into the atmosphere. And you can do that. I got a lot of free clips out there. Would you share them for me? Just send them out there on your Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and let people know what I'm up to, because I am going to fight for your values, for what you believe in, just like what I believe in. This is my calling, and I'm happy to do it. All you have to do is help. Just go ahead and join up. Continue on every month, and we will continue to provide for you material that lifts up God and country, tears down political correctness. We got a lot of other new ideas coming as well. As long as you participate, you can help make it happen. Let's fight like warriors together. Thank you so much for being part of this mission to America.